And we're on.
Cue the music.
Look.
Is it? Woo! Good after morning noon, because it's just at noon, and no one ever says good noon. We have morning, we have afternoon, but we don't have good noon. What's up, everybody? This is Nerd Dungeon, and we got Miguel chilling here.
Oh, hi.
Yeah,
What's up?
if you have watched Kaotic Radio in the past year, you might have seen us before together on the Kinda Gaming Show. And yeah, he's here today because he's...
And if you frequent gay bars in Riverside, you may have seen us again now.
Yeah, and so he's joining us today. Spencer should be coming in. He's at the doctor's office. And Giovanni's partying in Vegas. But we got Rich and we got myself here.
I snuck in again. You keep letting me back in here. I don't know why.
Yeah, right? He just hangs out. He's just there.
He's like, go away.
We could easily change the door code.
Yeah, right? We could, but...
I was just be banging the door.
Yeah, the whole time. Speaking about doors, go ahead and close that door real quick. I totally spaced out and forgot to do that. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. A lot of gaming stuff came out, not so much gaming news, but you hear that Pokemon music player now. That's because Pokemon came out. I don't actually have the new Pokemon yet.
Me neither.
But I want it, and people are saying it's a lot better than they were thinking. Like, there was a lot of people who had their doubts because it's, not the traditional system of Pokemon. This is Pokemon Let's Go. And, you don't fight wild Pokemon, you just capture them, but they have a ton of trainers now. Like, trainers randomly spawn in. It's pretty cool looking. But everyone seems to be playing that right now.
That whole thing about not fighting them, though, I've heard people are feeling it's really casual.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Also, am I echoing worse now because of the door?
No, I don't hear you echoing very much. A little bit, but we'll see. Yeah,
we transition.
We just painted the studio yesterday, so we don't have acoustic foam on the walls yet. So if it sounds shittier than normal, that's why. That'll be cleaned up today, actually, probably before the Black Lung show, which is after us. A much cooler show than us. Definitely. And if people are listening to this show and they're like, "Hey, where's Dutchy?" He said that he was playing, and you're seeing us on the YouTube. Well, he's on the Kaotic Radio app right now, live, and yeah, there were some mistakes. Beams were crossed, but he's currently doing the David Bowie tribute. He's doing that for the next 4 weeks, I believe.
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
Don't forget, also later after our Black Lung show, we do have Kaotic Sports, and then after that, Heel Talk Radio's come back.
Heel Talk,
yeah, the wrestling show.
Oh, cool. Andrew would probably be into that one.
Yeah,
but yeah, like, people are saying more casual, but at the same time, like, the thing that makes it way more casual is that they got rid of like a lot of like the EV training and stuff.
Yeah.
For Let's Go, and I don't know if I feel bad about that because I myself have never been a crazy huge like serious Pokemon player.
Right.
I've always just played it casually, and from the looks of it, this game looks like it would probably be more fun for me personally, just because it's like, go have fun, play Pokemon.
Does it have fishing?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
All games, all the Pokemon games have had fishing.
Then you're set.
Yeah, right. Just sit there and fish all day long.
Mm-hmm.
What is with fishing in games?
Well, see, it's not just fishing in games; it's fishing me in games. Because there's this funny thing that we found out a little while back. Every game that like is on my like high tier, except for Doom. I mean, there's no fishing in Doom, but it always like my buddy Nathaniel actually pointed out, he's like, "What the fuck's with you and games with fishing?"
I can think of a couple on top of my head, like also Stardew Valley.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, and fucking Animal Crossing.
True.
And Zelda. And it was really funny because one day I was actually telling him, it was when I was playing fucking Zelda on Switch, and I was like, "Man, this one doesn't have fishing in it." And he's like, "That's just the weirdest thing to be sad about." And he's like, "What the fuck is with you in games with fishing?"
Technically, you fish. You just chase after them.
You just fish with bombs in your hands, and you go redneck fishing.
You pretend you're a bear.
You can hit it with arrows too.
Most arrows.
That is a legitimate type of fishing. Pretty cool. Yeah.
Too bad like the bow with the a rope. You hit him with the arrow and you reel it back.
Oh yeah, that
would be cool.
That would be rad.
Plus, you can use that weapon for other shit too. So
yeah,
that's like you think that fishing is just a random mechanic, but the fishing pole was actually one of the best tools against Ganon in Twilight Princess.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, if you pull out the fishing pole during the fight with Ganon and you just like cast it over his shoulder, he's like, "What the fuck?" Like he looks over at it and everything, and you just get a huge open attack. You can do that to him like twice, and then he learns better. He's like, "I'm not falling for that again."
That's cool.
But it's the funniest shit. You're just like, "Hey, Ganon," and he's like, "What the fuck are you? Oh shit!" It's great. It's pretty funny. I thought the fact that they actually programmed that in instead of just like, "Oh, you're an idiot with a fishing pole." Good stuff. And then in other news that happened just the day after our show last week, really sad news is Stan Lee. He passed away, 95 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. That is a bummer, man. Like, I think if you were listening to the Black Lung show, I was actually talking about Stan Lee. The quote came up about him because Ryan was going over vinyl records. And he was like, man, he's like, everyone's going digital. And he's like, even CDs at the time, he's like, there's something really cool about vinyl albums because, they're physical. And he actually had one that was, who was it by? It was by The Sweet, the people who make Ballroom Blitz and all that. And the album, it's called Give Us a Wink. And when you open and close the album, it has a sleeve inside. That's the eye, and there's a little opening, and it actually winks.
Nice.
It's pretty rad. And, the quote came up about Stan Lee. I brought it up as, he said, when asked about digital comics and if they're going to take over, he's like, yeah, well, comics are like boobs. They're great on a computer screen, but I'd rather have them in my hands. And, it was really nice. And so it hit me hard, though, like the morning of seeing the news about Stan Lee. And I was like, fuck. I think that was actually the first time I've actually cried over a famous person. Like, didn't full on bawl, but had tears in the eyes. Actually had one go down my face. I was like, damn, I was actually really sad about this. And but I want to like talk more about Stan Lee and Marvel Comics because I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, Spider-Man was like the first comic book that I personally read when I was a little kid. That and X-Men, it's like still another Marvel piece, and it's crazy because that same story can be said for tons of people. Like Stan Lee brought many people into the world of comic books, and it's like DC got to the game first back in the day with Superman and stuff, but it's like that those are the two big hits is Marvel and DC. It's like this man created essentially half of an industry, so. It's a pretty big deal. What do you guys like? How did you guys feel about?
I've been like expecting it, anticipating it,
mentally prepping for it.
Yeah, I was like,
his wife died. And,
yeah, exactly.
Then the whole controversy with if he's being taken care of badly or not.
Yeah, he said no though. He had like I saw that actually before he.
Yeah, he was mad about that actually.
Yeah, he was on his Twitter and he was personally speaking right there like from his cell phone and everything. He had someone help him set it up.
Yeah.
But he's like, he seemed pretty frustrated about that. He's like, no, he's like, there's nothing wrong. But yeah, that was a terrible rumor.
Yeah.
That went around. Like, I don't know how that started,
But you can see understandably how people jump on that because there's a whole I can't think actually can't stop my head, but I know this happened before. Where people been taken care of,
elderly abuse. Yeah. Elderly abuse is actually a very common crime.
It's a fair concern.
And with everybody that beloved he was, it's It's not right that it happened that way, but it's understandable how they reacted. It just should have. The problem with the online is we get this mentality grouping. Oh, this is wrong. We need to step back and look. Are we really the ones be looking at these facts?
Yeah, people take things as fact far too easily.
And you get lynch mobs and
without confirmation.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole like without getting all political, but it's like the whole innocent until proven guilty, and then a lot of people nowadays are arguing that people are treating it as guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, especially with doxing and everything going on.
Yeah, and really that's kind of how we're doing things nowadays. Like when you look at like with the Stan Lee case. They didn't think, oh, is this true? They thought, oh my God, we need to do something about this right now, and didn't even check if it's true. So it's really sad that happened. I mean, I hope that didn't cause him any troubles himself, because obviously now that he's passed, he hasn't been in the best of condition.
Yeah, that was last year, was it?
I was earlier this year.
Was it earlier?
It was in June of this year, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Kevin Smith, he was like, hey, if stuff is going bad, you can come live at my place. He was being fully open to it. And Kevin Smith, he had that show Comic Book Men a couple of years back. It was like 20.
It's over?
Or is it still going?
I thought it was still going.
I think they're in the last season.
Oh, they're gonna finish it up.
I think you remember something AMC's canceling or something like that.
Yeah, I just haven't watched TV in so long, so it's like I haven't seen that. I used to watch it all the time though. It was a good show.
I caught it like once.
Oh yeah,
ever.
I used to watch it. Like it was on. Was it before or after The Walking Dead?
It was, but like
it was right before,
and then they would re-air them in a cycle.
Yeah, like they would play Comic Book Man, and then it was Walking Dead, and then it was The Talking Dead, and then
Comic Book Man after that.
Yeah, so it was. I used to watch it all the time. Like I would be like, originally I caught it before watching The Walking Dead, like just the tail end of it, and I was like, oh, that was actually cool. And then I added that to my like scheduling. I was like, okay, now I can watch Comic Book Man, then watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah, if you catch them in that rotation.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the subject of Stan Lee's passing, I'd basically come to terms with it a while back. Because I was like, he could go any minute, and he's had a really good run. He made it to 95.
Yeah.
And was still, like, relevant.
I like
into that old age.
Yeah, right. I liked that meme where it was like, Stan Lee didn't die, he just did everything that there was and completed life.
He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
No,
like, he did everything. The man was, a legend, honestly. And it's sad to see him go, but it's definitely, it's understandable. He's 95.
Yeah.
And so
he was prolific and accomplished. I feel nothing to really be sad over.
Yeah, it's not a tragedy.
And I read something where it's like, I guess he get prepared, and like he did a lot more cameos, shelved cameos.
Yeah, so there are shelved cameos, which will make those cameos that much more sad when they happen.
Yeah, I guess they've been doing that for years.
Just in case.
Yeah,
they've got
piling them up
a whole bunch. Yeah, I wonder if they've filmed like evergreen ones, as in like they they're not even tied to a movie, but
they're just random
in there, and you can kind of just pepper them in anywhere, like a quick here's a scene.
True.
Yeah, like him on the streets of New York looking up like or something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty good. I remember reading somewhere, I feel like I read it, is that they have like well over 40 cameos already.
It would be great if they did think of Vance's case, the merge is more likely to go through between Fox and Disney.
Mm-hmm.
If they did something, so that'd be great for him when they finally redo X-Men, he's there.
Yeah, I read a really sad little post today. They were like Deadpool is the only Marvel character that knows he's in a comic book. Deadpool is the only one mourning Stan Lee, and I was like, oh, damn, that makes it sad. Deadpool already has a lot to be sad about. Like, come on. But yeah, speaking about Deadpool, I don't think did Detective Pikachu get announced? No, it didn't. It was the day after.
Day after, yeah. Because we were doing a trade.
Yeah, it's like, so. Speaking about Deadpool, and then we were talking about Pokemon because Ryan Reynolds is voicing Pikachu. The Pokemon movie, Detective Pikachu, is coming out, and it looks surprisingly good.
I've never been a Pokemon fan, but it looks good. Just I was discussing with you the voice. I'm like, I think Deadpool.
Oh yeah. Well, like when I was seeing it, I actually totally forgot that they were making that movie, and then here's the trailer, and seeing it actually playing out, I was like, this doesn't look as weird as like real life Pokemon seems like it would be next to humans and stuff.
Well,
they are cartoony,
right?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Definitely cartoony.
Their designs are based on the designs of an artist I have a very loose connection to. R.J. Palmer. I went to middle school with a girl who was friends with him. They were like both artists on DeviantArt, and they were always like, I don't think they actually collaborated, but they shared technique and whatnot. I assume. I don't know. I wasn't in on that. I'm not an artist. One time he asked me to teach him how to program buttons in Flash so he could make a little show reel thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Or not show reel, but like a gallery. There we go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the most interaction I've had with the guy.
So basically, you made Detective Pikachu.
Yes. No, but he got contracted for the thing because he was really popular for his realistic Pokemon art.
Oh, so
you've probably seen
that was
around.
him. Yeah, that was him that did that.
Yeah. He did cool. There's like a bunch of big Pokemon and a trainer walking in front and a scale kind of thing.
They were most of the big ones were like kind of creepy and
most of them were
gnarly looking. But like I remember seeing Pikachu looking all like. Everyone was thinking that Pikachu was going to be like some, sewer rat thing,
right?
And then he comes out with like the most adorable fuzzy.
He didn't do the horror one. He didn't do those.
No, yeah, no. I'm just saying that there were some they were huge and everything, but they because they were realistic, they still looked kind of like almost Dark Souls like, and all because they're giant dragons and stuff.
Yeah.
But then people were thinking that Pikachu would look like, some sewer rat or whatever based on how he was making things realistic. And then it was like the most adorable fucking Pikachu ever. And it was like, oh,
It's pretty good.
it's adorable. I think, and then seeing the Jigglypuff in the bar, fucking pout, I was like, okay, I want to see this now. This looks good. It looks like it'll be a fun movie.
You were an easy sell.
I'm just seeing Jigglypuff pouting was like, all right, I want
I think
this.
you got me.
Yeah, and then it seems like they're doing pretty decent humor on it too. Like they're not going full child on it.
Right.
Like, he's like, I will electrocute you. Which was funny. Just having Ryan Reynolds, I think, will ease things up because he has a pretty good balance of I can make things funny, but not go over the edge. And then he's like, but if you let me, I'll fucking go there. It's good stuff. And there's that PG-13 Deadpool 2 coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Once
it's
Upon a
just
Deadpool.
recut.
Yeah.
But the theory is it's going to be that way, so just in case, so you can say, oh, this happened this way in the Fox universe. So then Deadpool can do whatever once he's in Marvel. I mean, on Disney Marvel.
Yeah, it's a charity event. That's one thing. So, it's a thing. Like they're like, okay, there's two options here. It's a charity event, so you want to go support charity, and you also want to see what they did to Deadpool 2 and make it PG-13. On the other hand, Disney might backhandedly say, "Oh, look how successful the PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2 was.
Ooh.
True.
Let's go ahead and go with Deadpool 3 being PG-13."
Ooh, they better not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they would, because I remember, weren't they supportive of our rating?
Well, that's the thing is, like, it's Disney.
Yeah.
And
Just like how they're changing backing out of the whole Netflix deal, so.
yeah, they're like Disney's whole goal in mind is not to make great products, it's to make money.
Yeah.
They have creative minds under them that work for them and all that want to do that, but if it's not going to make money, Disney's going to pretty much red flag it. Like, they've already canceled the rest of the Star Wars side things because
But they're pushing them out too fast.
Exactly. They that's part of the thing is they kind of cash grabbed Star Wars. They really did. They went full ham on cash grabbing Star Wars.
Especially the Solo one came out just after the whole country was, like I said, I'm not a Star Wars fan either, but it was one. The Last Jedi, right?
Yeah, the Last Jedi.
Yeah,
came out.
the whole controversy and feedback of that, and Solo. So obviously that was going to kind of get some of that feedback where it's like that's not going to do that well.
Right? Yeah, and instead of addressing the issue and saying, "Oh, you know what, we're going to go ahead and work on this," they just said canceled.
Yeah, I mean they still got the one that Jon Favreau's doing.
I'm not sure. I know
Mandarin, I think, or no? Hold on a second.
Oh, you're talking about the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, yeah. That one's still doing.
No, I believe they canceled it.
No, they're still.
The Boba Fett movie.
Nerd just reported it's still being filmed.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I know they canceled the Obi-Wan one, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I would like to see some Obi-Wan.
But I think the Mandalorian one, is because it has kind of like in between the two, and maybe it'll do some more.
There's no way a movie about Boba Fett fails.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Imagine that backlash they canceled that.
Yeah, right. Nothing.
Because remember what Star Wars 1313? That whole backlash.
Oh, dude, that was sad. That game looked so good coming out.
Like StarCraft Ghost.
Yeah. Oh.
I wasn't keeping up with the time.
Oh yeah.
But no, it was a good concept. It just was too soon.
You know what was weird about StarCraft Ghost is that they used Nova
all the
in
time,
marketing material
well,
and all their
she's also
other games.
in the books and stuff.
Yeah, that's true, but it's just really funny.
She's an established character in the lore.
Yeah, well, it's funny is those books came out. Some of those books came out in preparation for the game.
Yeah,
and then the game got fucking delayed and then fully canceled.
Right, but I mean that doesn't erase her existence.
But didn't they give her at least a lot more time in cinematics of StarCraft 2? I think I remember.
I don't remember actually.
I remember seeing Nova pop up a few times.
Just oh look, there's Nova.
And isn't she a hero in Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, that's what we're saying. She's in HOTS, and then she's also a skin for Widowmaker on Overwatch. Mm-hmm. Which okay, so we actually brought it up because we were talking about BlizzCon and the Diablo Immortal controversy,
right?
But none of us are huge Overwatch people. But he brought it up as a little quick tidbit. It's there's an Overwatch rebalance, rework 2.0 type of deal going on.
I haven't seen anything like that.
I think that Spencer brought that up actually.
Because they've been they're reworking the code for the game because of all the updates. there's like it's really mismatched right now, like how compounded the coding is.
Right.
And so I guess that they were gonna go in and like retool it all so that it's a lot smoother. The game should run better. That there's gonna be probably some graphical updates going on.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw they were working on what's it called, optimization stuff. But
yeah, apparently it's such a big set of optimization though that it can almost be considered like a 2. Like it's like somewhat almost on the vein of a 2.0. Like it's still gonna be the same game. You don't have to buy another game or anything. But it's looking like it's gonna be a big update because they've been tooling with it so much that they're like, okay, we can redo this and it'll be a lot cleaner.
I have not seen any info on this. That's weird.
Yeah, I thought maybe you would have known something more about it because Spencer, the one who brought it up.
I am constantly.
Yeah, you're all big on Overwatch. But speaking of which, there's an update that came out today. Coming out.
There's that PTR.
Oh, okay.
Brigida's getting the business. She's getting nerfed hard.
Yeah.
First off, they're messing with her ability to shield bash Reinhardt and other Brigidas. I guess technically, it's when the way shields interact.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because before she could go right through the shield and
stun him.
Yeah. Through his shield.
Now the way it works, I believe, is she stops there.
She stops at his shield.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like shield, you think that those shields, because they stop projectiles and everything, you think those shields themselves would collide with each other.
Yeah. But then again, Winston bubbles don't collide with Reinhardt's shield or anything. And they act the same way in the game. They're the same type of shield.
That's true. Yeah, people can walk through them.
And shields can go through
them.
And
shields can go. Yeah, you can basically hemisphere one of Winston's bubbles.
Yeah.
So that's like, it's fucking always pretty rad because it's like, hey, they made a bubble. Everyone get behind our own Reinhardt. Stay behind there, and now we can shoot through the bubble, or the other people in the bubble. Pretty fun. Yeah. Then you got like a Hell in the Cell type thing going on.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen. I don't think I've ever seen people brawl in a Winston bubble.
That would be rad, though.
It would be.
Yeah. They should make a character that makes hard cells that like trap people in it.
Oh God.
Then you actually have a Hell in the Cell type thing going on.
Maybe as an ult.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, just imagine that. Like
the thing, everybody have to stop on the map to actually watch or respect it. Most people just wipe over it.
No, like that's the thing is like if it deployed and like whoever was in that.
But
area,
if you want everybody to stop and start watching it because you want to see that, because it reminds me of like something I used to do back in AVP2 in multiplayer, or 2. Like I would play a lot as a Predator, use like only Whisperblade and stuff, and there would be Marine, which is nice, and people would crowd around, supposed to fight it out. Then the match would resume.
Wow,
funny.
It's kind of cool, like little pit fights.
That's pretty funny. I think that would be pretty rad in a game. I don't know if it would work in Overwatch per se.
But the idea is
idea of just having some sort of ult that just locks down whoever's in the immediate area, and we're like, no, we're fucking fighting now.
Yeah, you have a mini battle within the battle.
Like what you could do is
you good on objectives.
Yeah, like you make that Hell in the Cell type thing. And the person who deploys it gets like a little bit of a buff.
Yeah, like a team buff or something. Like who bets and all that and who wins.
Well, I'm just saying, like, give him a buff so that he could be like, okay, lockdown 1v3. You know, it like makes it to where those 3 people are stuck with that one person.
Oh, dude, that'd be cool,
right?
Like it locks you in with enemies, and you get a buff for how many enemies you locked.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, that'd be fucking rad. Right, and the whole mechanic.
And if you won, maybe you should get that buff for like that many minutes. If you beat all 3 people, you get for like 3 minutes to match.
One second, I'm going to apply to Blizzard real quick.
Yeah, right. to say that this is like an ult, it would be, you call it like a 20-second ult, you know, something like that. That's pretty large, but like how long is Mercy's ult?
Mercy's is 15 seconds.
15 seconds?
Yeah, so is Symmetra's wall. I think that's like 15? The longest.
Yeah, ult. That sounds, because like when I was about to say 30 seconds, I was like, that's
forever.
That's an eternity in video game.
Yeah, especially because that would be bullshit if you were stalling out a point that way.
Yeah,
like it's in overtime and you're losing, so you come into a point and fucking just stall for 30 seconds. It's like, oh, your whole team gets to respawn.
Yeah.
This ult wins the game back entirely.
Yeah, right. It could definitely be worked though. I feel like there would like just a quick brawl. Like if you gave him like the Winston buff.
No.
Inside that cage, based on how many.
Oh, just that?
Yeah,
just flat. Okay, then maybe yeah.
Yeah, like
then if you go, well, no, I like a scaling buff for.
No, that's what I'm saying. But it's like the Winston buff, but per who he's trapped in there.
Right, but
like
not that big.
Arena. Yeah, not that hard, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
where he's just buffed out, like it's do stuff.
Yeah,
I think this would have to be a melee character, just for it to like really work out.
No, he could be closer range, like Roadhog, for example.
Yeah,
if Roadhog had something like that, it'd be fine.
That would be just a good Roadhog ult.
Right.
Fuck his fucking
Whole hug. They nerfed Whole Hug.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't launch you in the air anymore. It just pushes back.
Oh, that was one of the best things about it.
Yeah.
Like just whole hogging people up in the air and then just accelerating them over to an edge.
Yeah. But whatever.
It was a really good ult, though. I mean, Roadhog is in a position where he's still fucking...
They also kind of buffed him, though. They gave him and Reaper shotgun spreads instead. So what it used to be is it was just... it was like the bloom in like Fortnite, how it was just random. It was like in this circle, the pellets could go anywhere.
Yeah.
But now it
actually scatters
patterns.
out.
Yeah.
So when you're in someone's face, you're just like, bam! There's all their pellets.
Hitting, motherfucker.
Wow. That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, I was going to say right before you mentioned that, him being buffed on that sense, I was going to say, Roadhog's kind of in a good place always, it seems. Like they retool him, and then it's like, oh shit, for like a week, and then it's like, nah, that's not too bad actually.
But he's really hasn't been the same since like the beginning though. Ever since they fixed his hook.
Yeah, well, that hook needed to be fixed.
He used to be oppressive.
Yeah, that hook had to be fixed though. That was fucking ridiculous. How it would just wrap around walls and pull people through shit and down and upstairs. Like it was like really janky. I don't know if you ever played Overwatch.
No, I'm thinking like the Mortal Kombat movie with Scorpion and Johnny Cage, what's going around. That's the image I got in my head from that.
Yeah, that's kind of like honestly. So
I'm sure somebody made that GIF.
Right. Fucking. That's the thing is Roadhog. If he hooked you, like, it's like if you were on target when he threw it out, and then you went around a wall, he would still hook you and then pull you through the wall, and it was like,
basically treated it as hit scan.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand.
They treated a projectile pulling hook as a hit scan.
Yeah, that should be nerfed because
it was.
I'm seeing a certain point, and that's understandable. But if, like, say you ran across the building around, like that's just not.
Yeah. I think the original motivation for it was just satisfying before, so like you weren't landing your hooks properly, and eventually they just made it work.
It worked how everyone assumed it should work, and the only people complaining were people who really weren't good at the game. That's pretty much how it all went.
Yeah.
God, what else was I thinking of? Like, I totally lost my train of thought. Like when we were
still talking about Overwatch, or
you do whatever.
Okay, I didn't want to.
We just go.
I didn't want to derail your plan.
If you've had any thoughts that come up, no, that's the thing about this. Is the way I run this is we see how the conversation goes. There's like a few hits in here, like where we want to talk about it.
And if it dies, you bring in a subject.
Yeah, like it's just fun to just keep going where you were. I know, like when we did kind of gaming show, we kind of like stuck to a structure every single time, and.
Unless we didn't have anything planned for the day,
but those organic ones, those are the ones that are fun to talk about.
Yeah, I like this kind of format. Well, okay, I'll just keep babbling on about Overwatch as long
there you go.
As long as
you just
we
fucking
can.
love Overwatch.
Yeah, dude, that's probably my second favorite game now.
Right next to Dark Souls.
Right next to Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's a good game. I just haven't been playing it because I get frustrated with it, and it's like, even when I'm like after I've got to myself, I was like, I don't give a shit. But then
you couldn't.
it was like it's not even so much that. It was that I was playing it, and then I was like, I'd rather just go play some Super Nintendo right now instead. Actually, I was like, that just sounds more fun. Or like, I'm gonna go play Stardew Valley or Doom for the 137,000th time.
I just meant how like you were like, all right, I don't give a shit, and then you come over to my house and you get mad.
Fuck yeah. That sucked ass. Like, you know what I mean?
I know, but it's like you couldn't stop giving a shit.
Couldn't, man. It just can't. It's like,
it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts when
it does, man. Because it's like you try and you're doing good.
When you try your best.
But yeah, dude. And then all fucking other like I don't want to say all other people on the team either, because it's like that's like everyone sucks except me.
But it's like generally if they're not your supports, they suck.
It's pretty whack, like how some of the shit goes down on there. Like I don't know, I think it's just there's just too many people playing, and it gets to that point because like if I play a game like Quake, which has a very small community because no one fucking plays it, you're consistently in games where you're playing against other people who are experienced and care. Yeah, exactly. Like these people are playing this game because they want to play it. They love this game and they're involved in it.
They've been playing that kind of thing since Quake 3.
Yeah, like the people who play Quake are all like they want to play Quake, and so they're all serious about it. And then so if you're playing on a team game, you see that.
Yeah,
it's like you'll see your faults and you'll be like, God damn, okay, this like I really need to like work on the timing on the da da da. And then you see your teammate, and then when you lose in Quake, you're just like, we got fucked. Like that, like there's no like, oh, you guys didn't do that. It's like fuck. But there's so many people in Overwatch that you can frequently get in games with just casuals that really don't know how to zone, how to like actually approach a point, or
cooldown management, everything.
Yeah, like and that's the thing is Overwatch, although very streamlined, is super technical.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like there is a lot, and you know. The fact that one tricks exist in Overwatch is like a big problem.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing a game that allows you to switch characters in game, that's basically saying, "Hey, you're supposed to switch characters in game." Like there's counters and all that stuff. Like when you're playing League of Legends or other MOBAs, you're locked in. Like,
yeah.
Like you better have paid attention to who the enemy team chose, because if you chose a character and they chose your counter, you were stupid for locking in, you know, or like for staying on that.
Yeah, any game in that with that like hero type format, you're gonna, if you're a one trick, you're cancer.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like you have to know how to, you know, flex in any class based game, really. You know, TF2, I know you're not a huge fan of TF2.
Right.
But, you know, it's kind of...
I've never liked the way Valve handles movement and stuff. I don't enjoy playing Left 4 Dead.
You don't like the hammer units and all that stuff and the acceleration? That's the unit that Valve uses in the Source engine. It's called hammer units. It's like the distance. It's instead of feet or meters or anything, they actually used hammer units because... they use that because they fully program the Source engine to use the distance units in the coding for projectiles and all that stuff, and then rather than use like feet, inches, or metric system, they went with hammer units because it's universal at this point,
right?
And it's a coding language, and it's tied to coding increments, you know, binary and all that. So it's a lot easier just to program for.
That makes sense.
I mean, the Source engine is really easy to work on. I've seen, like, I'm not a coder, but I've seen it like used watching people do it, and it's like they need to update it, but it's really like. It's really clean.
It's better than Bethesda's in
God, anything's better than Bethesda's fucking thing. That's one thing that we wanted to talk about was Bethesda's fuck up with Fallout 76.
Oh, projected... no, it's not just one.
No. Yeah, and the projected fuck ups of future titles, because apparently they're still going to be using this fucking creation engine on Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. And have you heard about what's been going on with Fallout 76?
No, I've only seen people playing it.
Okay, so one thing is the console's open. Anyone on the server can access console and can actually pull IPs.
How is that?
Because the game was instead of when they first, if you watch who was it again that made that really nice? We mentioned it last week. They made a really good documentary on the making.
Oh, No Clip.
Yeah. So if you go onto YouTube and watch the No Clip documentary on the making of Fallout 76, they actually took the Fallout 4 engine and, you know, retooled it all. And by doing so, all that code in there, the biggest problem is that the game would not work with multiplayer because the aspect of the player is so ingrained in the code that things just didn't work.
Right.
And so they did this, like, I don't want to say sloppy, but they instead of building a new engine or using something else, they just reworded like the current engine, which
I mean, that sounds like the way to do it, honestly, though.
Yeah, but the problem is that they've left open like a lot of backdoor stuff to being single player. So pretty much what's been going on is people have been, you know, they're able to kill or give themselves stuff.
Yikes.
That was a problem.
But that's a continuous problem. That wasn't like immediate.
I believe I believe they're in the process of fixing it. It's still like they did a hot fix, but like if you're a coder who knows what you're doing, you can still fuck with it pretty easily.
Huh.
We mentioned it before the show started. 3 nukes will crash the server.
Right.
Not just the game, the server for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
the whole
happened.
server.
Because basically, when you launch a nuke, you spawn a really, really big, high-level Scorch Beast Queen.
Yeah.
So a bunch of players like, what if we do a 3, we should get triple, right? This should be like triple level, and that's in-game loot that gives out. About a minute after they launched it, the servers crashed.
What?
Like on this YouTube video, like this is for the PC Gamer more than we talk about. And then when you watch a YouTube clip included, they're basically one jumps out and starts walking toward where the happened, and the game just
crapped out. Yeah.
Huh.
It's pretty ridiculous. But I mean, you know, like looking at Fallout 4. I mean, I really enjoyed Fallout 4 still, but I'd still, for one, the engine is tied to FPS.
Right.
yeah.
So you have to play at 60, or else the game starts fucking up. Which a lot of games had that issue, but most companies fix that. It's ingrained in the creation engine. Like you have to play at 60 or less. And
it's so weird that that's a problem.
Right? It's really weird. But also the animations are clunky. When you look at how those games play, like dog meat's shoulders and just people, they have that
typical not Fallout, Bethesda stuff.
Exactly. But the point is the fans have been saying for years, like, hey, it'd be really cool if you guys made a new engine, especially after when. Yeah, they partnered with. Whoops, I hit a cable there. We're good though. They acquired id Software. Bethesda as a whole. That is.
Yeah. Softworks or not Softworks.
Softworks is the game developer.
Publishing. Bethesda Publishing.
But yeah, Bethesda Publishing acquired id, and id is like really clean at coding. Like their shit works.
Not that I know. I'm just saying.
But I mean, you can tell by how cleanly it was ported to Switch,
right?
And how quickly, and their games like are polished as well. Like glitches don't fucking happen in those games.
A lot of them from ID or id is from when John Carmack used to be there. That guy, if you read like the the Art of Doom or that Masters of Doom,
yeah.
It talks about how he particularly was anal about coding
yes,
the next best thing.
And that mentality, even though he's not at id, has stayed there because that's the thing. You had John Romero and John Carmack. John Romero was the gamer,
and never mind, I forget his name.
Oh, Tom Hall.
Oh, you're talking about Sandy Peterson?
Yes,
Sandy Peterson was the level designer, the one that we actually spoke with on the Kind of Gaming show. He was awesome. But Romero he's the gamer. He was like, this is what we do. Test it. This is how and Carmack though is the programmer. That was he plays games too, but he was very anal about it has to work. There can't glitches aren't a shit with our games. This can't be. And that mentality is stuck with id. When you get an id game, to this day, it's a cleaned up, polished game. Doom Eternal has not been. The release date has not been announced yet.
Right.
And people are like, where is it? And they're like, we're working on it.
Yeah.
They're
like, we don't want to say it's coming out, June 4th, and then we need to delay it. They're like, we don't want to.
Then there's a hullabaloo about the delay.
Yeah,
and plus, they learned their lesson from before with what originally was Doom 4, before Doom 2 in 2016. Because remember, they made it turn to Rage, either Russian, and we scrap it, start from the beginning.
Well, that's the thing. Rage was always going to be Rage, but the problem was
Doom 4, the original Doom 4 looked too much like Rage.
Oh yeah.
And they announced that, and then they you know what?
Well, to be fair, they never announced Doom 4 was coming out. They said that they said that we're prospectively working on it, and then I don't believe they ever. What is that music? Is that an ad?
No, it's
just a sample. It sounds like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a Hotline Miami remix.
I thought I noticed the little blinging in the background.
I changed something else.
But when it came to that,
cool.
they didn't like what Doom 4 was looking like. They were like, this is it was coming up to that Call of Duty. That's actually the words they used.
I feel like the 2016 still has.
Well, you have the whole weapon kit.
Right.
You have the double jump. You have the vertical movement, climbing. Right. Call of Duty has evolved since, but you don't have the loadouts. That actually is what poisoned the multiplayer of Doom. 2016 though, is that you did have loadouts.
Oh,
Yeah, you did have loadouts, and it wasn't a full-on arena shooter, and a lot of people complained about that. And that's because a separate entity made
that
multiplayer.
versus the main.
yeah.
So, and I think there was a miscommunication. They actually used a lot of what was like originally in Doom 4. Mind you, this whole Doom 4 thing happened back like when Rage was there, and they still had all that stuff. They were still tossing it around on the.
Was that like 2008?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was like, did Bethesda? Yeah, Bethesda owned it at Rage, right?
Yeah, I think it was around.
I think that was their first game they published
under Bethesda. I believe so. That's because I know it was being
remember there
worked
being
on.
a big deal about it.
Yeah, I remember it was being worked on well before Bethesda acquired
2009 is when they acquired them.
Oh, 9.
And when did Rage come out?
Probably also 09.
Yeah, I think because what happened was they were working on the game, and then it got delayed for like 6 years. Like it was.
Yeah, as after because 2011 is when Rage came out.
It was when Rage actually came out. Yeah, so
They used the Rage 2 logo, so kind of threw me off. Like, what the?
so what happened was.
Man, those 360 days are just a blur.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
It's somewhere in this.
That's because it was like 10 years.
Yeah.
That was a long fucking gen, man. Like, and people expect that to be the norm, and like, so when people are talking about PS5 and
wait, 4 years in the PS4, right?
what's up?
Is it like PS4 been out for 4 years now?
It came out in
5 years.
2013.
2013? So it's almost 4 years.
Just hit 5.
Just 5.
We just completed the 5th year.
Yeah, the 5th, just like this month
Yeah,
marks
so
the
it's
5th year
been-
for Xbox One. So
Yeah.
because that came out November
in
22nd, I think.
it came out in September.
Yeah, I believe so. And then Xbox came out in November. I believe it came
Yeah.
out on November 22nd because it's my mom's birthday.
Huh.
And so and that's Thanksgiving this year. So this next week is the
I didn't get
5th
until like
anniversary.
February.
Yeah. So yeah, we're pushing 5 years, and that's totally normal for them to start talking about a new console generation when it comes to the traditional sense.
Yeah, because they know the average was like 6 years before, right?
Yeah, and then
The last generation was almost double.
the seventh.
Well, technically, they're
generation,
doubling it with the PlayStation with Pro, PlayStation 4 Pro, and then the Xbox.
Oh yeah, they had the refresh. See,
One
and that,
S X. Whatever.
yeah, so that actually leaves them
extends
open.
it.
Yeah, that leaves them open to extend. But when we were working with, there was the 7th generation with 360 and PS3 and all
I think
that.
so. That was either that last one, that one, or this one.
I believe this is 8th gen. I'm not sure, but either way, when it comes down to it, developers were pissed for the longest fucking time. They're like, make new consoles, you assholes. This shit's hard to program on.
The problem with that is I really enjoyed how well studios began learning how to work with the consoles. Like the PS3, the difference between the launch titles
Yes.
and the end of life titles
Huge.
are so huge. The
And that's
Last of Us
because-
is still one of the best looking games ever.
Yeah, and that's we went over that a while back on the Kind of Gaming show. It's because that cell processor was a bitch to program for, but it had a
Right.
ton of
The
power.
potential.
Yeah, and they unlocked it. The Last of Us actually went over that was actually utilizing it to its full potential. But it took till The Last of Us to do that.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is when you see The Last of Us and you compare it to the PS4 edition. Yeah, the PS4 edition is upscaled and all that stuff, but it's pretty fucking close. It's like the fact that came out on the PS3 was
Yeah.
a marvel.
Yeah, like the difference between that and the not HD remake, the remastered version is like
Or definitive
hard-
edition, I think they call it.
It's remastered.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. It's hardly existent. The difference is just a little bit of polish. Like they didn't
Yeah,
have to
it's
do
like-
anything.
I don't even think the load distances are different.
Right.
Just-
It's just post processing
yeah,
stuff.
it's like better light shafts, better shading, all that. Textures are cleaner, stuff like
Right.
that.
And it's at a full
Yeah, it's
1080p
running. It's
60.
running full 1080p 60 rather than they were running
was 30
upscaled.
FPS,
They were running upscaled
9.
900p with 30 FPS. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, but it's crazy to see that came out. And then when you look at that compared to like Resistance that came out as a launch title on the PS3, it's fucking,
Yeah,
it doesn't even look
bad.
like it's the same system.
Right.
It's
and then Resistance, whatever the fuck that came out for PS4, doesn't look much better
oh yeah,
than The Last of Us.
yeah, right. It's crazy.
Games.
Although fucking Killzone always looked pretty amazing.
It's just really gritty, so I think it's gonna look.
So they're
good.
able to hide
Yeah.
it under that grit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can make
I
things
think
happen.
it's gonna look good because of its style, no matter what. But it's like, even now, or even this generation's titles have like improved over time, and it's only been like 5 years. Actually, it's been exactly 5 years now. To a point where I feel like they haven't improved to a point where I feel like they've hit their potential, especially the Xbox One X because that's so new, still so fresh, and it's not being tapped into entirely yet. There's no way, because that thing is like a marvel of computer engineering. I don't think they need to be working on new generations so much as updates, like the One X was to the One.
Exactly. I agree with that, because when you look at how Xbox is handling, they just added full keyboard and mouse support to the Xbox One, and pending updates on games to support it. Be pretty rad. The cool thing about all that though is it seems like I like what Microsoft's approach to this whole thing is. They're like, we're just gonna make this a gaming PC. That seems what they're going with,
right?
Because they've already made it to where all their games play on Windows. I think what Phil Spencer did up there and the rest of the development heads at Xbox did was they probably saw the Steam machine, saw the potential, and then saw what everyone was saying about it, what they wanted with it, and then saw the absolute failure of the Steam machine because there was no regulation to it.
Yeah.
And I think that they saw that and they were like, you know what we could do is exactly that, but make it a dedicated game machine.
Right.
So you have your PC, you can do all the bullshit you want. You have super graphics card, spend $2,000 plus whatever you want to do. And go ahead and come on in, Spencer.
Yeah, is the mic live or?
I believe his mic. Check if the pink mic is turned on there when you come in. So the thing about that is they could see the problem with it all was there was no regulation for the Steam machine itself. And it basically came down to just buying a pre-built PC.
Right.
Whereas the way Xbox is going about this, they could say, okay, you buy yourself a PC if you want. You can upgrade it as much as you want, and you'll still be able to play Xbox games on it. But you can go ahead and buy an Xbox, and you're guaranteed to play all the games on it. At whatever set level they can. As long as they can guarantee, okay, we can play this version. And at a certain point, they can roll it out like how Apple does. Exactly. Like Apple says, you can have an iPhone 6 or newer, and it'll run.
Right.
And so there's been rumors actually this week that came out that it's not even so much rumors, it's speculation based upon what they said at Xbox that they actually came out and said, was that there's an idea for a discless Xbox One coming out in the near future, which I think is a totally good idea. On the idea of Game Pass is amazing,
right?
And we were talking about this last week. When you buy a game now, Fallout 76 in particular, you go and you buy the Blu-ray, and you had to download 51 gigs.
Unless you were offline.
Even then, because the update on it, you could. It was 45 on there.
Yeah.
But the game was completely broken in box.
Right.
And you can't play Fallout 76 offline.
Right. No, I just mean if you just leave your PS4, if you take your PS4 offline, you don't have to download. You can install the thing and then...
Oh, no, the disc doesn't... The disc has outdated files on it.
Right. No, but I'm saying you can then you can download the most of the base game and then go online and get the patch.
Oh, no. The patch was 51 gigs. The patch itself was more than the game. It wasn't it was a full rework. The discs were printed with the wrong stuff completely.
The way I saw it work is if you installed it by the disc and then went online, there was 6 gigabytes of stuff that had to be fixed.
Because I did look at it and it was a 51 gig patch.
Right.
Not using the game files.
Yeah. That's
even if you put the disc in, it was still 51 gigs. So I don't know. We'll have to check on that.
The thing with the PS4 is, if you are offline and you do put a disc in, it will. It'll download faster off of the disc.
Yeah.
Well, no, that depends on your internet connection.
Oh yeah. If you have fucking South Korean internet or Google Fiber.
Yeah.
You can get that Google Fiber up inside of the IE.
I downloaded Red Dead Redemption 2 in 48 minutes.
I download the weekly patch for Quake that's 2 gigs in 4 hours. Yeah, but what I was getting at is, so I don't actually have Xbox Live right now.
Right.
But I have Xbox Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know those worked individually.
Yeah, they're individual. It's $10 a month for Game Pass. They're actually running a promo. I never actually have paid $10 a month. I always buy it on promos. I had my free one from my Xbox when I purchased it. They had, get a month for $1.
Yeah.
Right now they're running a thing where you get 3 months for $10.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, especially around the holidays. Be prepared to look for that. Game Pass is the shit. Like,
I'm seriously considering just picking up a regular Xbox One just to get Game Pass.
well, get a 1S.
I don't need a 1S.
They're cheaper.
Yeah, you do.
Like, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the reason why you want a 1S. For one, you don't have a brick that's half the size of the Xbox sitting next to your Xbox. Okay. For two, the Xbox One S is overclocked, has better cooling, processing, boot times. It has a stronger RAM set. This wasn't just we made a system that we want you to buy. This was, hey, we took everything about the original Xbox One and just made it fucking better and actually work. For example, go to Miguel's house, turn on his original Xbox. Goddamn thing takes like 2 minutes to boot.
It's dog shit.
Yeah.
Don't get a base one.
You go to mine and you play my Xbox One S, and that shit's working, in under 20 seconds, and it's fully ready to go. Yeah, and but the thing I was getting at as well. So people are kind of there's a lot of people who are against the whole going digital thing. We discussed this last week.
Yeah, it was the thing that killed the PSP Go.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying. It sucks because but the thing about Game Pass, you're not buying those games, so you're not it takes away the whole. God damn it! I lost all my games I purchased.
Right.
It's I'm just buying the service of Game Pass.
Yeah,
and
downloading, changing back later,
and I can fucking play. It's like when Netflix takes a movie off of Netflix. I don't feel like they fucking stole my money and I can't watch those things. I'm just sort of oh, that sucks. Well, I'll just watch something else now. Because you're still getting the service, and that's the same deal with Game Pass. So, I think it's a pretty smart decision in that regard, as well as the fact that games just get updated every week now. Mm-hmm. That's just the world we live in. Mm-hmm. We don't live in the boxed game world anymore, and it's not even for better or for worse. It's just different.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's To's first console I purchased in years was a Switch. Mm-hmm. It's every now I turn on this updated. I'm like, this is weird. It feels like weird.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I mean, it's funny too because I recently we discussed, I got the PlayStation 1 original, and I've been picking up some PlayStation games. And that's the thing, is you buy those games and that's the game. There it is.
Right
there's no updates. Yep. There's nothing to it. You popped it in. It's the same game it was 20 years ago.
And anyone who wants to argue that out-of-box games back in the day were perfect, I dare you to try beat Quest 64.
Oh yeah, there's definitely we have said before, they definitely tested games a lot better back in the day.
Because they had to. It was a necessity.
They had to.
For the most part.
Yeah, I mean, the people could still go lazy, but we were actually discussing how beta tester used to be a job position, whereas now it still is, but it's not to the degree as it was.
At least at major studios it is.
Yeah.
QA is the whole department.
Unless it's Bethesda.
Or Epic.
I mean,
because Bethesda, they actually have mentioned, you could see it in the development stuff. Bethesda actually, it's kind of we were talking about this, it's cluttered up. The developers themselves are the ones who are beta testing.
Oh, okay.
And
yikes.
Yeah, so they're taking time out of their development time to bug test. Yeah, there's not a person sitting there whose job is QA,
right?
And is just playing the game, taking notes, writing down, rerunning quests. It's the developers, and they don't have the fucking time to test it.
Yeah, that's a terrible system.
Exactly.
Blizzard has a whole QA department.
Yeah, and you can
there
tell
are people that just play Blizzard games.
Except for they didn't do so much on the Battle for Azeroth.
Oh no, I didn't.
The few little things we're gonna fix it now.
To be fair, though, WoW is a game that takes so many hours. It
just
seems
true.
Yeah, right.
I can imagine that QA is.
But it's just such outrage for the communities of watching. There's you didn't wow. I play it myself. I'm okay, this isn't done right. This isn't done right. I mean, it's not broken, but just certain things why do you just let this pass through?
But it's the 20 QAs or whatever aren't going to run into nearly as many problems as the millions of WoW players.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is, that makes sense in that regard. And like we said, games are just huge now.
I guess that's also my problem now with a lot of companies like EA and Ubisoft treating games as a live service now. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna see. You probably see QA testing might take a hit there because
Well, see, that's the thing is you have to look at the integrity of the studio itself, and we all already know that fucking Yeah, that's Snake Eater.
Yeah.
Okay. We all already know that EA and Ubisoft are pretty trash companies, and they're probably going to keep that trend going. They're like, oh, we could be even more laxed on this? Fuck it.
I mean, after what is Assassin's Creed, there was a Unity with the broken assets right on the blocks. I'm like,
they turned it around.
They did, but just like I just remember that first broke up. They're like, it's not fine. Like
they went from
you're seeing inside this woman's skull.
The terrible thing that was Unity, and then came Syndicate, which was a complete turnaround for like the quality.
Yeah. Well, they upped they took 2 years to develop Unity.
Yeah.
Not, 2 years to develop.
Because they're doing it every year now. They're kind of like, oh, maybe we should take a little more. Like,
it took a lot more time on Syndicate, and it really shows.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the game that was famous for the floating eyes and mouth pads before?
Unity.
That was
Unity.
Oh.
There was a game. I don't think it was one of the Elder Scrolls games. There was an RPG game.
You're talking
what the
about
fuck
that,
was it? Was it one of the Fallouts? Where occasionally people's heads would be missing, and you would just have their eyes and mouth sack floating there. I think it was one. I think it was Fallout 3.
Maybe Oblivion.
It happens with a lot of games. It just sometimes meshes.
Yeah, it does happen. Like,
I was just going to make the comment. It's funny that they took the notoriety for that problem.
Yeah. Well, that's because it happened excessively.
No, it was
like every cutscene.
Every
for
cutscene,
like hours.
Even when you're just like walking around the city.
Yeah,
people would just doing it.
It was weird, man.
It was just something was wrong with the mesh, and whenever they actually opened their mouth, it would just destroy the entire mesh.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
I'd be interested in learning what the actual problem there was.
Like what was actually going on.
Yeah. Like maybe they had two meshes colliding, so like it would crash the renderer or something.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe it was
some weird thing that was going on with like just the mesh for the face. Because everything else still rendered perfectly.
Right. I wouldn't be too surprised if it was the hair that did it, because they updated the hair in Unity.
Oh,
when you see it, because like when you look at like Assassin's Creed, the Ezio status, and then you look at the whole fucking Black Flag. In those games, it was like compounded hair, all as one single chunk, and then they would have like a couple strays. In Unity, it was like the first time they actually started having hair.
Kind of hair physics,
rendered hair, yeah.
Simulated.
Yeah, exactly. And so that could have been one of the big reasons why it was just interacting, like you said, with the face mesh and just...
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Who knows?
Just a wild guess.
Yeah, you'd have to like look at the actual game files, but that's like I wouldn't be surprised if it was that did it. But then you look at something like CD Projekt when they made The Witcher, and they fucking had big ass hair works going on that totally fucking brought your performance down, but the game ran very well. There was CD Projekt's one of the gold standard people though, because they fucking work on their goddamn game.
Yeah, I was gonna mention them earlier when we were talking about not Bethesda, id and Doom. I was like, there's a few companies out there that are all about like quality.
Yeah, like CD Projekt has been working on Cyberpunk for years now.
Yeah,
and they never announced it.
They were very upfront about that when that first trailer came out. They were just like, hey, we're working on this. Literally. Out when it's ready.
Yeah, and even when they did like the 45-minute gameplay, they're like, some things will change.
Yeah, they're like, this is still an early build, but
although that's a common disclaimer.
They were just like,
but it's really nice to see though, because it felt like a complete game to me just watching it.
Right. And they are saying, hey, this is, and there was moments where I saw it. It was like, okay, there was some pop in there. His hair was doing some weird shit in the back seat of the car at one point, but it's you could tell that they're working on it, and it's pretty good to see that.
Right.
And we need more like CD Projekt, but at the same time, they're independent. They're not under the umbrella of big money studios like ZeniMax.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is it's hard to do that kind of thing without money. It takes money to make games,
and it's exactly like we were saying with Disney. Disney's not really concerned. Like as a company, Disney's not concerned with making art.
Right.
They're concerned with making money.
Yeah.
Like that's what they want to do.
Yeah,
and then they threw away Disney Infinity.
Yeah, it's like, well, see.
Was it making money?
Oh, it was making money.
Oh, weird.
Anyone who bought Disney Infinity would buy every single figure. It just wasn't bringing the kind of money they were expecting from like Skylanders.
Well, that's because you got to remember there were people buying like everything about Disney Infinity, but it wasn't a widespread success. There weren't a lot of people playing it, and then it didn't justify the cost of the servers. That's why it all shut down. It wasn't making Disney money. It was making money, but it like you look at
it was making like B grade money, not AAA money.
Okay. Yeah, but if you look at fucking what was it? A game that just recently came out. Was it Call of Duty? They were like, oh, it underperformed, and it made like $1 billion. And it was like, that's underperforming. Really?
It was Black Ops 4. They were like, yeah, we expected it to do a lot better.
Yeah, it made like 800 million in the first weekend or something, shit like that. And then
it like broke records across all the boards. And they're like,
and they were like, it didn't do what we expected it to do. And like investors were like lowering, like the stock fell and stuff. And it was like, what?
This is one of the best opening weekends for games in the past couple years.
Yeah, That's when it comes to company money, that's all they're concerned with.
It's unrealistic expectations, you know. Like, what is it? Some with Square Enix and the first Tomb Raider, where it sold well. I'm like, no, it failed. It's like it's not like they didn't sell at all.
Yeah,
it sold a lot lower than they expected. They didn't even make 50% of what they wanted.
See, I guess.
But then again, the Tomb Raider's been. Sorry to cut you off there. It's a Tomb Raider. It's been. That was the first revival of after so many bad games from the originals.
Yeah.
Were the old games bad?
Well, no, the old games weren't bad. But when they started getting to like, what was it? Not Undercover, but like
PS2.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff afterwards, and then Then they had Tomb Raider Legends, which was getting kind of weird, and like the games were just being pushed out.
The best way to see is the Angry Video Game Nerd did like 2 of the worst.
Yeah, he actually did.
You're sitting there like, I'm glad I never played that.
Yeah, the Video Game Nerd actually did a thing on some of the like bad Tomb Raider games. Came out about a month ago, something like that. And yeah, that's a pretty good summation. I mean, of course, James,
he plays it up.
He plays things up on purpose, but it's like you still get the idea of it. Like and he is showing you the problems on screen as they happen. So, it was a weird thing because when you look at Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 1, the game. It was revolutionary at the time. It's pretty clunky, as many games are from that era.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, it's like, yeah, they put a lot into it. And then it was, for the time period, good games, like consistently, back to back. And then it got, milked hard because, a lot of people think of Tomb Raider on the PS1, and it's like, I think, was there 4 games or 3 games on the PS1?
I think there's 3.
3.
Yeah.
3. And when people think about that, that's cool. And it's like, but it always comes as a shock when they're like, yeah, there's like 11 Tomb Raider games. And they're like, wait, there's how many Tomb Raider games? When did that happen? And it's like, yeah, you weren't paying attention because they were shitty.
Some of them are pretty bad.
Yeah. And it just got really weird. And then, like, instead of being focused on the gameplay and stories and stuff, they were more focused on, like, trying to make Lara Croft an icon instead. Like, she was in Playboy and stuff.
Yeah. Actually,
I
think there are 4.
There is 4?
Angel Darkness was...
I think there were 4 on the PlayStation 1.
Angel Darkness was the first on PlayStation 2.
And
then there's second series of Legend, Anniversary, Underworld, and the third series we're currently now. So Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, and apparently, like, I played the first one. I didn't complete it, of the new Tomb Raider games. Pretty fun though.
Yeah, I have it. It's okay.
It's all right.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
different, but
I honestly felt like the story was weird because she has a broken leg at the very start, and like it's like, oh, she's inside such a bad situation.
She gets impaled too.
Yeah, and then she just shrugs it all off.
You probably just dead.
Just fucking take a nap. I'm good.
I kind of pushed that aside though. Like they were definitely going for action movie mentality, where that kind of shit happens. Like people get fucking actually pushed through the air from an explosion in a movie, and then they get up like nothing happened, when like that would rupture your internal organs and all this shit. And it's like, all right, we're playing a game, and there's fucking blood sacrifices that go on, and like all this other weird shit in Tomb Raider. Yeah, I'll let it slide. Like, I mean, even in the old Tomb Raiders, they had weird shit like velociraptors running around and like mummies and all this other crazy shit that, like occult stuff happening. And then I guess I haven't played it, but I've heard the new one, the newest, was it Rise of the Tomb Raider?
No, Shadow
of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is beckoning that full ham again. Like, yeah, we're bringing all that fantasy shit back, like hardcore.
Yeah, I haven't touched it yet.
Yeah, I've just seen about it. It's It's funny because Tomb Raider is always seen as like a benchmark game now. It's one of those.
It
like,
is.
Yeah, it really is.
Weather effects, you know.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of
Huge
weather
effects.
I'll be surprised when they put Red Dead 2 on PC. That'll probably end up being one of those benchmarking games. Because just seeing it when you were playing it on PS4, I was like, wow. Like, there's a lot going on there. Like, you could keep going. We were talking about the horse testicles. Everyone has to talk about
everyone
that.
on YouTube is like horse testicles.
That's because it's just bizarre to think that that's like you go from like, especially if you've been gaming a long time, you go from fucking like Crash Bandicoot on the PS1 to where you were like, oh cool, the leaves wiggle, to like, not only do the leaves wiggle and there's like actual wind physics and all that stuff, but horses' testicles ascend and descend depending on the heat.
You know something I just noticed about Crash Bandicoot the
What's
other
that?
day? I was watching a like somebody was like one of the most fucking heart-pounding moments in gaming or whatever, and it's the levels where you're just like, or one of the highest stress levels in games where you're running from the boulders. In Crash Bandicoot. I noticed that whole time he's like looking back and stuff.
Yeah, he's like doing that, and he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
and
he's like really reactive to the levels. I never noticed.
It was a big deal back then too. Like, especially when you think about it, it's like, you know, the jump from Super Nintendo to fucking, you know, Nintendo 64 PS1 era was pretty huge. Like, we went from, you know, all fucking sprites to 3D models, but also detail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like the jump from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, we went like Final Fantasy. You went from characters moving forward and, you know, going like this, just a little, yeah,
Maybe a little sprite for magic.
And then you see them on 16-bit, and it was like, okay, they like jumped and did slashes, and there'd be like a on-screen effect, and it was like cool. There was some parallaxing going on, but then you look at like PS1, and like they would actually move their hands, and the camera would pan, and like there would be effects, and it was like, it's a big deal. And then, like, having Crash actually look back, whereas Mario was always a static looking forward, up or down.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you have Crash looking at shit. And actually changing.
And even,
yeah, like, he's actually changing depending on the angle that he's running and stuff. Like, he'll actually look over. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Those were fun. And I'm just appreciating that era more because I've been collecting PS1 now. Like, just been going back and playing it. I remember we mentioned this too. When I was growing up, though, people always were saying that these games won't look as good as like when you go back to 16-bit, because they're like 16-bit, it's art style kind of, and you can, you know, you go back to it, it looks good at any time. But then they were saying that, you know, PS1 and stuff's gonna look shitty, and it's like, I don't know if it's just because I've been gaming all this time, or you know, because I'm, you know, a gamer that passes aside stuff and will just look at the actual gameplay itself. But it doesn't seem like a problem. It actually, like, there's like kind of a charm to it, that old look to it.
I think it's a you thing. Because
Possibly.
when I look back at old games like that, I'm like, oh my god.
You're like, holy fuck. I can imagine if you're like thinking, like, maybe you have the nostalgia goggles of when you saw it, and then, like, so you're thinking, like, in your head, it put like newer looking models in your head.
Well, no, it's not even specific games. It's like just that generation. I was just like, it was crystal clear, right?
And then you go back, and it's
and
totally
like,
fucking
the
not.
renders are so low, and like all the jaggies and
Yeah,
whatnot.
maybe it's because I like have already subverted those. Like, I'm well past those ideas. Like, my brain's not like, oh, it looks like this and it looks super good, and then I'm like, oh fuck, no, it doesn't. But I'd be interested in seeing how like younger generations do, like, so people who didn't live in those times,
Right.
you know, because like there's two camps there. Like, okay, I've continuously played older games, so I never had the nostalgia goggles. You, as someone who had nostalgia goggles, so you just haven't. You, like, when you go and finally revisit it, you're like, fuck, like, you know, your nostalgia is hampering. You're like, you know, you had this expectation, and you come back and you're like, oh, this looks like actual ass.
Right.
But then someone who wasn't there, and it's just like, oh, okay, let's go and see what this game is like. I'm wondering if they'll just be like, this is just way too shitty, and like, you know, it's just really too low end for them to enjoy, or if they'd be like, oh yeah, I can actually see it, it's fun.
I think with the presence of like mobile games, the expectation for like good graphics isn't as like present in really younger generations. So like when they go back, it'll just be like, oh, it's like this level of
this is just what these games look like, and then they're fine with it, and then they play it. Like I'd like to see that, run an experiment with my niece, but she's because she was playing Undertale. And see that totally goes back to the whole like 16-bit and stuff looks good always.
Right. Although I don't like Undertale's.
Yeah, I guess you don't, because then that Undertale's like 8-bit looking. Because they go with the flat black backgrounds and stuff. I went back to Earthbound recently, and the reason that being is after my niece beat Undertale, my brother was like, "This is just Earthbound." It's like the whole style, and like when you fight enemies, they're on screen. It's not like a party shown and everything.
Yeah, that's what everyone was saying when Undertale came around.
Yeah,
well, it was very much inspired by Earthbound.
Yeah, it was. the company that made Undertale even said, the guy that made Undertale even said that he was a big fan of Earthbound and the Mother series, and then he was like, kind of like how the guy who made the guy who made Stardew Valley, he didn't drop any names, but he was specifically like, yeah, it's like those games that I just think that the potential wasn't fully reached.
Oh, and you mean the game that was really good, and then the company dropped the team that was actually in charge of the game, and now they make shitty versions of it that look like they're from a Facebook?
Yeah, that's you know the whole story behind fucking Harvest Moon. Yeah,
we talked about it on.
We did, yeah. It's ridiculous.
Hey, at least we still got Story of Seasons.
Yeah, I mean that is the true Harvest Moon. That's the real Harvest Moon.
That is Harvest Moon.
Yeah, I think that's so bizarre that even happened, and it seems like it should be illegal, but it's not.
It's because they didn't own the rights to it.
They didn't own the rights to the name Harvest Moon. Like Natsumi, the publisher of Harvest Moon in America, owned the rights to the name. Yeah. So then, when they fucking got the game pulled from them, they continued publishing games. That just seems like it should be like false advertisement / illegal. But it's like you're not making the same game. You're not porting the game that was made before.
I don't think it should be.
You're just rebranding. I don't know. It's weird because
it's like Halo. Bungie left Microsoft, and then 343 Studios was founded. Well, they were founded before Bungie left. But they were founded as a studio to take over Halo. I don't think it's shady business or anything.
Well, see,
it's just licensing.
Well, that's the difference, though. Is like the people who developed Halo stayed with 343. A lot of them.
Some of them.
It was a good amount.
A good amount of people in general, but not a good percentage of the studio, really.
But they, like going on that is that there was still the same. There was people that worked on Halo working on Halo still.
Some.
There's nobody that worked on Harvest Moon working on Harvest Moon now.
Well, because they all chose to leave, right? It's just
it's not even.
There wasn't even like a leaving. It was, hey guys, we don't want to publish you anymore, but we own this name, so we're gonna make another studio make the game with this name.
Okay. Yeah, this is what it was. They were like Natsumi has no hand in the original Harvest Moon at all. They were only the localization team,
right?
And they owned the name Harvest Moon. They own it still. They didn't own it before. They still own the name Harvest Moon. Like they own that name. And I can't remember the name of the studio that makes it in Japan, but the name that it's always been made as in Japan translates to Story of Seasons. It's like, Dobutsu no something. And actually I think it's Dobutsu no Uta or something. But either way. They make the game, and then they sent it over to Natsumi to translate. And Natsumi did that, published it under the name Harvest Moon. And then they weren't satisfied with what was going on with the translations because they were like fucking it up. So they left, but Natsumi kept the name Harvest Moon.
Right.
And they make completely different games and still use that name. That's what I'm saying, where it's like there's no developers in Natsumi that even touched Harvest Moon.
Right.
And it's literally unrelated completely. It's just
it is literally like if you got Farmville from back in like the early MySpace days, and that
was Facebook, but still.
It was on MySpace too, wasn't it?
Farmville? No, I don't think so.
MySpace didn't have games. MySpace was really basic.
MySpace had games. MySpace
had those little. Yeah, it had like
Mafia Wars.
Mafia Wars. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, so like the early Facebook. early Facebook Farmville, and that is basically what is inside of the newest Harvest Moon game. It's even got timers and stuff, and it's just it's terrible.
Yeah. It's really like it's a completely different everything, and it's except the name. So that's what I'm saying. That seems like it should be illegal under like the false advertisement thing. It's like because it's not the game that people knew. You totally blindsided, and it's tarnished a lot of the game series for many people who don't know about that.
Yeah, because they're not gonna touch the real ones that they.
Yeah, and then they don't know that Story of Seasons is the game that they actually want. It's weird.
Yeah, and then I think they even started republishing the old games recently. I think I saw Wonderful Life.
Natsume's been republishing.
Yep.
Yeah, and they own the publishing rights to anything named Harvest Moon in the United States. Like, I wonder how long that'll last for, because like if they actually own the original code for this region, for those games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or if it's like that's only for a certain amount of time, and then they can't even make Harvest Moon classic games. So
yeah. It kind of sucks because like I want to buy A Wonderful Life, digitally because I love the game, but I can't support the company.
Yeah,
it's the huge problem I have with that.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Since we're on the track of old games or just old ways being changed, E3 is looking very different.
Oh yeah, every major publisher pulling out.
No, Microsoft confirmed they're going to be there.
Oh,
big time. They were like, yeah, we're definitely being there.
Nintendo will.
But it's funny.
Nintendo?
In true Sony fashion, they copy everything Nintendo does. Even leave E3 now, because Nintendo's been 4 years now, not at E3, 3 or 4.
I don't know.
No, they've been doing the
They do the Treehouse.
Yeah,
that's separate.
And they do a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
they do not go on stage. They do not have a press conference.
Oh, okay, so
none of that. They're just not.
They do have they did have demo stuff though.
That's the Treehouse. Yeah. They have they have their games there at E3 on the floor. They do not do a press conference. They don't do these huge announcements to a live audience. They make a direct, and they make directs all the time, like throughout the year. And as was basically found, was it last year, this year, when the direct wasn't. It was last year. Yeah, the direct wasn't great, and people were like, "Oh, this is stupid that they didn't announce things during E3." And it's like, well, Nintendo just treats it as another direct that they just happen to have scheduled for E3 because everyone else is talking, so might as well. And Sony has now backed out, which is weird because they didn't do PSX this year.
Yeah,
there's no PSX this year?
No PSX, no E3. They were just like, we've got like 4 or 5 games coming out. We've already shown you trailers.
And it's the same 4 or 5 games that they've shown 2 years in a row.
We've shown you these things. There's nothing new for you.
Oh, plus like this year, that whole press conference, that backlash over it. And
because they showed essentially the same press conference.
And it was just the way they did it was just so long. I was sitting there, I'm like,
oh yeah,
can this go faster?
How they showed the Last of Us trailer and then had everyone move to a different.
Yeah, and it's just like going from transition to transition.
Yeah, there was like 45 minutes of just nothing happening, and people were like, "What's going on?"
Because I remember I was watching like the Funhouse stream about that, and they were just like going off, like, "What?"
Yeah, it was really, and it's like for the media people that were there, they were just totally like, "What the fuck is going on? Why didn't we watch this over there?" And it was just a whole fiasco. And then the stuff that they showed at the press conference was like 90% the same thing they showed the year before. Miguel's getting his jam on here.
What is it, from X2?
Yeah, Mega Man X Tuck and Roll OC remix.
Nice. And so I can understand why Sony's doing that, but it also just doesn't look good.
It does not look good saying, "Hey guys, we don't got nothing coming out this year.
Spider-Man's out. We don't have anything else, man." We're like,
you know what's coming out? We got Anthem. That's not us. We got Ghost of Tsushima. That's coming. Tsushima. I'm gonna mess that up every single time I talk about it.
You should go with the Nathaniel route and just fuck it up more every time you say it.
Ghost of Harmon.
They got the fucking. They got the fucking Last of Us 2.
Last of Us 2.
And they got the fucking Bravely Stranded, what the fuck, Kojima stuff.
Kojima the game.
Death Stranding.
And then
Hideo Kojima's Brain, the game.
The not Ghost of Chakadurngana. The what is it?
Sekiro?
something Japanese.
It's something Japanese. It's the sequel to the game that came out a while back, which is basically
Shenmue.
No,
Oh, not Shenmue.
Shenmue is not that. It's basically like an ID game, but no.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Talking about
Neo 2. That's it.
Either way, yeah.
Oh, that. So you should have said other Dark Souls.
Other Dark Souls.
There you go. Yeah, I was actually about to say. I was like, you mean the game that looks like Dark Souls?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
And then I still would have been like Sekiro.
yeah, exactly. But Xbox has actually doubled down. Like, no, we're gonna fucking be there. And we were talking about this last week. Like, they acquired more studios. Like, they got what's that? Not
Obsidian.
Obsidian.
Yes.
Yeah, they acquired Obsidian.
Dude, yes.
And they this is like, okay, so they announced, what was it, like 5 at E3? And then since E3, they announced like another like 5. And then just this like last week, they announced another like 3 big boys in addition to like 5 more little ones. Mm-hmm. And it's really like, okay, after what we saw with fucking John Matrick just butchering the fuck out of the Xbox One launch, like with the whole fucking really hammering on Kinect and that whole TV thing, and then, you know,
Always online.
Arguably not having a huge amount of his exclusives to the Xbox One, like first party games. You know, it's the Xbox One has, you know, it's had a couple, but it's not been too great. It has been a very good ecosystem to play third party games though. They're just like really doubling down, like, hey, we just acquired like 20 more studios. We're making first party games now, motherfuckers. I feel like this is a really good position for them, because really, now that Sony's not gonna like have a presence, maybe they'll have games playing on the floor like Nintendo does. I don't know. We have no idea.
It's probably gonna be the same demos from
it'll be like
year.
the same demos. But that's the thing, is like they might be there, like, but Nintendo is gonna, like, their only competition is gonna be Nintendo, and Nintendo's like, we're not in competition with those guys. We're our own shit, because we're a Nintendo Switch. And
Nintendo's own quote: We're not in competition with anyone.
Yeah, you know, and I don't think Nintendo gives a shit. Like, they make a ton of money, and it doesn't matter, and they're in a good place after the Wii U years.
We slap our logo on a game, and it automatically sells.
Yeah, the weird thing about Nintendo is they recently said they're not in works for the Nintendo 64 Classic. And like Reggie even said it straight out. He's like, yeah, we were in a bad place when we made the Nintendo Classic. But we've seen the trademark for what is a Nintendo 64 controller in the design of the Classic system, and that's an official trademark that they, you know, ordered and everything. So they're clearly working on it. I think that they're really going through the process though of not fucking it up. I think they really want to have the licensing really set in stone, like, we're getting the fucking games. I was joking with a buddy about this because there's still 5 Smash characters not released yet, and not announced, the DLC characters. And yeah, it's 5, because they said 6 DLC characters coming, and the Piranha Plant is one of them.
Okay.
And then the other 5 have not been announced, but they said they already know what they're going to be behind closed doors. And I'm not sure how long ago it was, but I know Phil Spencer said he would like to see Banjo-Kazooie in Smash. And a lot of the other Xbox execs were like, yeah, we would be totally into that. And Xbox and Nintendo for like the past year have been playing buddies. Like, you know, the whole Minecraft thing, that's like, yeah, Minecraft's on every system, but like they really hammered home, like on Twitter and like everything, that like Microsoft and Nintendo,
you know, the whole commercial
were aligned. No, it's the fucking I know it's not that, but docking on fucking on GTA, and they're like, you dock. It's not. But they were aligned, you know, and they're partnering up a lot. And this was like a you know, one of those what if moments, fanboy joking, where I was like, all right, what's gonna happen is they're gonna fucking announce the N64 Classic, and they're gonna be showing all these games, and then they're gonna start showing the rare games, and it'll be like, oh shit, rare games, and then you'll hear the fucking Banjo-Kazooie sound, and it'll show that Banjo-Kazooie's on there, and then you'll hear and it'll be fucking Smash Ball.
That was the worst sound.
You know what it does? That's the Smash Ball Clash that does that.
I know the sound you're doing. But
I could look it up for you now.
You could do it. But yeah, they'll have that Smash Ball Clash, and then it'll fucking res him into the fucking Smash Bros. And Banjo-Kazooie's going to be there, and they'll be like, what the fuck? And it'll just be this whole thing. And it would be really funny if that's like their like a big E3 announcement, and then at the same time, Xbox is like, hey, we got all these fucking games in this new system that's going to have a whole shit ton of things. And it's like, what has Sony got? Nothing, bitches. They ain't even here. They're probably not going to say that, but Sony kind of said that last, like when
they have been back and forth, Sony and Microsoft, with throwing shade.
Yeah, I know. Like, remember when fucking the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were originally coming out? They're like, this is how you trade games.
I mean, Microsoft hasn't really
this is how you share a game.
Microsoft doesn't throw that much shade.
Yeah, they don't.
No, they did last year.
What'd they do last year?
What did they do?
Oh, man.
Except for show a bunch of games and just say, yeah, we have exclusives. This is great. We love Xbox. We hope you'll all enjoy it.
No, it was during the no, it was actually this year, I think, with the Nintendo and Xbox crossplay. Like, they're like, oh yeah, we do crossplay. And but they were like specifically replied to PlayStation about their like Fortnite. One of their
on Twitter. They didn't come out and say during their press event, fuck you, essentially. Like that PlayStation, like Sony straight up like was like, hey Xbox, bitches, and then everyone cheered, and it was like, like Shuhei Yoshida pulled out his dick and was like, suck it, Xbox. No. It's I think that they're gonna come out.
Pulled out his dick and was like, suck it, Xbox, which actually wasn't English. That was in Japanese. And it translated to, I win. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
He was still throwing the shade. It was just...
Yeah. No, Xbox hasn't like directly come out in this big light. They threw a tweet out with Nintendo, and Nintendo threw that same tweet like in parody. And yeah, they're... And you know, that's a lot better. Saying, hey, we work together, guys, is a lot better than saying, hey, look what we do that you don't, ho. And it was kind of like a call like, hey, Sony, you could join us if you would like. Like, we could all play together. And yeah, that wasn't the case. They don't get to play together. And they finally opened up the little gates on that on Fortnite.
It took them how many months?
Yeah, it took them a lot of griefing from the internet.
And by the time they did it, they was like, eh.
Everyone had already said fuck Sony by then. Yeah, it's weird. I'll be surprised like what this E3 is gonna hold, because the other publishers like Bethesda's likely gonna still be there.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see. Like, yeah, they got Rage 2.
Yeah.
But then again, at the same time, you know, the only thing that has to happen, like they already announced their big games. I don't think Bethesda was there the year prior. They were there for 2016. I don't know if they were there for 17. They are there for 18. I know that some of them rotate out. They don't always come every year. And you know, all they'd have to do is say, yeah, Rage 2 is our big announcement for E3, because, you know, the other stuff we're still working on and don't really have it in the pipeline just yet. And then they'd be like, hey, Microsoft, you want that during your conference? Or, you know, Microsoft like, hey, let us do that during our conference. You know,
well, Bethesda might have.
They might show more, you know, Elder Scrolls 6 or something, yeah. Because Starfield is after that, or which one?
No, Starfield, I think.
Starfield's before Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Elder Scrolls 6, it's not even a concept, it's just the little teaser.
That's true, huh?
Yeah. And they were playing the Dovahkiin song, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's shaping up to be a weird one. And then there's the rumors that there's a Nintendo Switch Plus, Super Switch.
I think my other name is better.
What's that?
Switch U.
Switch U, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't call it the Switch U. I think Super Switch would get the idea
Switch
across
2.
pretty well. Yeah, right. No, I don't even get... They don't... They're... Fuck, that would ruin them. Making
Switch
a
2?
Switch 2, being like, it's an entirely different console that doesn't play the same games. That would fucking...
That reminds me, was there that issue with the Nintendo or the NES and the Super Nintendo back in the day?
No, people got the difference.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, probably because the Nintendo was called the NES. Well, no, but then again, people just called it the Nintendo back then.
Yeah, and then this was the Super Nintendo.
Or SNES.
It got Super in there. Like it totally made sense. It was like, what's different? It's Super. That one's not. All right.
Oh, all right, I want the super one.
Yeah.
One goes in the front, one goes on top.
And plus, you gotta remember that was also in the days of Sega does what Nintendo don't, and they were like, we got fucking 16 bits, and like people didn't even know what bits were. Like the general person was like, what the fuck's a bit? This has more of them. That's all you gotta know. And it went to the point of, people saw this whole fight, and then they were like, "Oh, this is the Super Nintendo, and it fucks that Sega up." And it's like, "Oh, I understand now."
But here is the disc attachment for your Sega Genesis.
Yeah. And advertisements back then were also a lot. I feel like they were a lot more effective because now ads are that annoying thing that happens before your video on YouTube and you skip it.
Yeah.
Back then, it was like you were forced to watch ads if you wanted to actually see what was on TV that you were watching. Like, you could try to go grab something in the kitchen, and you're like, "Oh fuck, my show's back on! I got to run back." So a lot of people actually sat there through the commercials, and they didn't have cell phones to be, dicking around during commercial breaks. Like, that's what you had to do, and you're like, "All right, what do I do while this commercial is going on? I can watch these commercials. I can look at a magazine. I'll do that." And then the magazine's filled with ads too. So like, you'd see all these ads. Whereas nowadays, you could pretty much go ad free. I mean, you got ad blocker on all your shit. If you have a subscription service, they don't run ads.
We don't support ad blocker here.
I actually just told him to you don't have ad blocker on your computer.
God damn it!
I mean, he went to play music and it was playing an ad.
And on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. But
I support YouTube.
I greenlight YouTube creators that I watch.
I used to do that, but I did troublesome. Like, did I? Fuck.
Well, all you have to do is you get their URL, like their custom URL, and greenlight that URL,
and that'll do all videos.
And if you watch it through their channel, like if you just go through YouTube, I think it messes it up. But if you go onto their channel and then click their videos, it greenlights it. So,
it's probably for some of the best part E3. Have you guys watched the Digital Devolver conferences?
Yeah.
God, I love that.
Those are so
That's I want to see next year because this just goes like, what are you do now? Top the last one.
Yeah, dude, those are so ridiculous. They're like,
I want to play that one game, the one where the guy just does tricks while shooting.
Oh, the banana. The guy dressed like a banana, right? No.
It's called
he's just walking and he's shooting constantly.
No, yeah.
It's called Sid or something.
Yeah, no, it's
gonna
come out Switch.
Sam.
It's like Sam. It's like It's like Steam and Switch. I think it's gonna come out.
Is that what it was called?
I don't know. Let's see what. That's Serious Sam that's coming up.
No, not Serious Sam. That's something else.
There's something else. What the fuck was it called? It was just a name, right?
Yeah, something like
Like
that.
Greedo?
Magnificently handcrafted games.
I think it's scroll down.
Oh yeah, I forgot they're doing that old ass.
Road
Force Strife. Stripe's pretty good.
Gods will be watching.
Coming soon.
New hotness. I like their
Coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon's probably the.
I like their layout on their website and all that.
Nope.
The
No.
hell is it?
No.
This is turning out to be my friend Pedro scum.
I think it's the banana.
Oh, was it
one.
my friend Pedro?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
the
banana
Oh,
one.
there you go.
Coming 2019.
Yeah, because he's
It's the banana.
Yeah.
There we go.
yeah.
It looks pretty rad.
Cause I'm definitely get that for Switch.
Dude, yeah, that looks fun as hell.
Yeah. I really what I like about Devolver Digital and their E3 things is they really are chiming in with the whole we're playing video games. It doesn't need to be serious. Fucking ham it up. It's an action game. Let's put explosions. Let's make the announcer on the E3 stage have her head cut off, I like that. They're just fucking going with it. They're like, we don't need to be serious businessy. We're playing. This is the big boys thing. It's like, no, we're making games. Fuck off. It's pretty good.
Like take E3 back from just being a stock market event.
Yeah, and there was that time. It was in 2006, 2007, where E3 had no booth babes and no fucking anything, and it was all businessy business, and everyone was like really depressed and saddened. And that happened for like 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And then it went back to being, here's cool set pieces and cosplayers and all that stuff.
It was for a couple of years that they were like, oh yeah, so tickets aren't available to the public.
Oh no, they still even once they brought it all back, it was still not available to the public. They only brought it back to the public this year.
Yeah.
This is the first time in like 10 years that they allowed people that aren't in the industry. But there was 2 or 3 years back in like 07, 08 area that they just didn't it was locked. It was still locked. They just started. They got rid of the public access, but they also got rid of all the fun. Like, there were no set pieces, there were no cool lights and stuff. It was like gray stage. It was more depressing than an Apple event. You know, like where Apple is like on stage, but they have those big screens and stuff. They didn't even have big screens. Like, they had like PowerPoint presentations and like a little video going on for those, like, that section of E3, and it was terrible. And then like they were like, yeah, we're gonna go all super serious businessy, and then what they didn't realize is that the people working the media are gamers for the most part. It was like, these people are in this industry because they love games, and they wanted that kind of gaming mentality. They wanted to go to E3, and yeah, and then they brought all that back after like 2 years, and then, but it was still locked. But it's weird. Like, what is E3 going to be though? Like, when Sony's out of it,
it's definitely going to be a different experience with a lot more focus on Microsoft, I feel.
Yeah, I think Microsoft is kind of like
our game.
They were just like, hey, we could take this. We don't need to do our own setup.
Microsoft's like, wait, this is basically our conference.
Yeah,
everyone else just has demos on the floor.
So we just win E3?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like when you look at it, it's like, you know, Sony's gone. And then, yeah, they'll have their whole PSX and stuff. Like, they'll probably bring that back next year, and you know, that's
probably not.
Who knows? Maybe Sony will just stop making games. Like, this is it. The reason they haven't announced more is because that's it, man. They got those 5 games, and they're checking off.
They're like, guys, we had a good run.
You know, like,
it's time to shut down Sony.
Like, Xbox has been, you know, talking like, yeah, we're working on the next Xbox. They mentioned the discless Xbox One, and there's a lot of talks about the next Xbox and all these studios. Sony has been like not commenting on a PlayStation 5, and they've been like not telling more games. Maybe that's the end game, man. Sony's just like, we're good. We don't need this anymore.
We're checking out.
We're done, man.
We made PSVR. We made PlayStation 4 Pro. Fucking everything we do. Everyone else like takes it and makes it better for.
They're like, we already have the best selling system all the time with the PS2, and we're getting close to that with the PS4. We're good. We don't need to do anymore. Who knows what they're doing? You're talking about I don't think you can hear them.
A little bit.
It's not really prominent, but yeah, I think Xbox is just seizing the moment. Like, they're like, okay, well, Nintendo does their directs. They don't really do much here at E3. We could run our own press conference separately, or we could just take it. That's E3 is ours now. And I was joking around. Instead of it being called E3, they call it X3, and it's like the Xbox experience.
They do have one, don't they?
XO.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, they just take E3 and it still make it like it make names that would start with an E, like Extreme, Expo, and then Xbox, and yeah, just change it.
Just make E3 featuring Xbox.
Brought to you by Xbox. But yeah, I think they have they definitely have an edge right now
with Xbox.
Yeah, right. They definitely have an edge right now, though. They're in a position where they can just fucking take E3 as their studio, like, presentation, and, you know, without Sony there, that basically makes it their event. Like, I think it's really weird that Sony's doing this, because that's what gamers associate. You could fucking announce things during the Game Awards and, like, any other time during the year, and it's like, okay, cool, but then E3 is, like, the big deal. Gamers still associate E3 with being the shit, like, to pay attention to. And I feel like it's a huge mistake on Sony's part that they're just backing out of it. I think they've been very cocky lately. Like, oh, we're fucking got the best sales, we don't need to do shit. That's like, I mean, growth is kind of the point of business. So, it's like Xbox was the leader in sales last gen until they started being all cocky and fucked up too.
Now Sony's repeating the same thing.
Yeah, like Xbox did that, and then, you know, they had this huge lead on PS3, and then towards the end, when they were getting cocky and they started like not doing a whole bunch of stuff, Sony just caught right up. And
really,
yeah, it got really close. Like, if you look at the difference in sales, it went from being like 70% difference to like 10% difference. It was insane, like, how much Sony caught up, because people, like, you know, Xbox didn't continue growing, and then Sony just started growing. And then they grew enough that they had the momentum and the mentality of the community, so that when the PS4 came out, everyone already associated with PS3.
No, I feel like all the way to the end, Microsoft or Xbox was growing. They were expanding on the Gears of War universe and Halo. And
at the very end, Sony ended up having the more sales with the PS3 than the Xbox, but barely.
Really, but no, I don't think Xbox stagnated so much as Sony just stepped up their game like crazy. Mm-hmm. Like The Last of Us, for example, blockbuster. That last generation. I don't think I cared about any other Sony exclusive nearly as much as I cared about The Last of Us.
The Last of Us was fucking incredible. That's why. It's the fucking Wii was just a constant gradient of people buying shelf coasters.
Yeah, pretty much.
People always talk about the Wii and how like great. Yeah, it was like it was the thing that everyone had collecting dust on the shelf.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I got it, played it for a few months, and I'm like, oh, it's there.
Yeah,
because even like I played with the virtual console, but now it's so limited with the releases. I'm like, I just don't care.
Fucking look at that jump in 2007 when they went from 2.5 million to 3.5 million in 1 year, and then Xbox went from 4.6 million to 4.7 in that same year. That's a stagnation right there. In 1 year they went up 100,000, and in that same year PlayStation went up a fucking million. That's crazy. But yeah, that's the thing. Is like Sony brought people in to where they were thinking about Sony, so that when it came time for it to go into the next gen, people were already thinking about Sony. That was in 2000.
That's a stagnation, as in there's not that much growth, but they still sold more consoles overall. It was a more consistent sales.
Yeah, it's a weird bit. Let's see. And this is still in 2007, 2008 though.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the early longevity of the Xbox 360
and then
was better.
Trying to see what we're looking at right here.
So if the Xbox 360 came out, sold 4 million consoles, and the PS3 only sold 2 million.
You can see from here there was a fat growth, and then they started kind of tipping, whereas Sony just continued growing. It's a weird one. I still think though that this is going to be a bad choice on Sony's part, dipping out of E3.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
bad for them, and it's bad for E3. I feel.
Yeah, because E3 is gonna not be as big,
right?
But at the same time,
I mean,
people are still
E3 is slowly losing every single developer going to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, even though Nintendo doesn't have a press conference, and Nintendo has a very solid reason for that, their biggest reasoning was, yeah, we don't like the whole live presentation and the possibility for mix-ups going on. Because what happened with them is the thing that set the nail in the coffin for them was they were presenting a Wii game, and the electronic interference with all the cell phones and computers and everything in the showroom, like during the presentation, fucked up the wireless connection between their Wii remotes and all that. And it made their games look like fucking garbage. And people were like, oh, look how bad this is. But then the people who went on the showroom floor, they're like, oh, no, the game's not broken at all. It was actually Skyward Sword. Like the fucking sword was like glitching all over the place, and they're like, yeah, we've got 1-to-1 motion with the sword. And when you actually played the game, it was pretty solid. I mean, yeah, it's a Wii remote. It's not as good. It's not as good as the fucking as the Joy-Cons are now, but it was still working, and it worked how you would think it would, like how you expect it to work at those times. But on the E3 fucking presentation, it looked like garbage. It looked like it was just broken and not functioning, and people were posting that on the internet. And so Nintendo's like, we're just not going to do that because there's too many variables that go into play. We made the game work, and it just didn't look good on screen because of, the network traffic going around and all the Wi-Fi signals just fucking up their internet and their wireless communication. And
but it's like they have ways to get them to work around that.
Well, that's the thing. It's like when they they could tell everyone, hey, turn off all your phones, and it's like, well, we need to.
Or they could.
We need a live tweet though. That's the thing. We tweet as the show's going on.
Or they could use a different system for the.
For
their
but
gameplay.
But then people will be like, oh, look, they're not even using a regular
that's
console.
actually that's under FCC regulation. That's unavoidable.
What?
Wireless interference.
No, I'm saying they could use a different type of connection.
I mean, if they did a hardwired connection or something.
Yeah.
But wireless, there's no way around it.
Well, yeah, but why don't the 360 or no, the 360, the Xbox One and PS4 controllers get messed up?
Well, on stage they play wired.
Yeah, they do actually.
Yeah, they have those big. You always see it. They have those like big fat like cable sleeve.
Oh yeah, I guess
bundles.
the guys that walk out with the controller don't play the games, huh?
Yeah.
No, there's always the person.
someone with
there's always that fucking pro gamer sitting there with the big ass headset at a fucking computer desk. Like, all right, let's do this.
Well, yeah. See, so yeah, they could make Joy-Cons that were wired for that purpose.
Yeah, but then like they could, and then at the same time, the way that the Joy-Con technology works, it doesn't have that. Whereas an Xbox controller, it's already built in to plug into a USB.
Right.
So they don't need to change it. Nintendo would have to manufacture for presentation, and it's just easier for them to say, "Fuck it, here's a Nintendo Direct," and they're able to like have cool editing going on. And they're like, "We still have our games on the showroom floor. We just don't have the press conference."
Right. I'm just saying it's their own shortcoming that they can't.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah, I'll agree to that.
Right.
I think that they just said, fuck it, why deal with live when we can do it and it's the same thing? Like people see, and they can also change the pacing. That was the other thing. Nintendo had a horrible time hiring good speaking people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They had like
I like when what's his name? No. Damn it! Who's the one that always like speaks English?
Reggie?
No, the Japanese guy.
oh, are you talking about Satoru Iwata?
Yeah, Satoru. There you go.
He passed away sadly, but
yeah,
he
he sounded great.
Yeah. Well, he still like he's. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking anything about the Japanese people. I'm talking about like I forgot who it was. Like her name. She was only at E3 for like 2 years, but she was like fake plastic smile lady who like spoke like she was speaking to preschoolers. And she's like, "We're here to play games, guys, and we're gonna show you how Wii music is. Wasn't that fun?" And it was like, yeah, exactly.
No, that was loud.
I know. I was doing that on purpose just to show how shitty, like, because she also would do that.
So is that like with an inspiration of the Digital Devolver?
Yeah, it was ridiculous though. Like when you looked at how Nintendo fucking had their presentations, it was just like you're watching these people and they just didn't know how to make it look cool.
Yeah, don't talk about it.
And when you watched it, it was just bad. Mm-hmm. Whereas Xbox is able to be like, here's a game, and then they like throw it out there. Here's a little bit of gameplay. On to the next. Another gameplay, and it works. But Nintendo didn't like that, and now they can do the pacing, and they can be like, one more thing, fucking psh, and then it all happens with editing.
Yeah.
And cool production values. So, yeah. Well,
I got one more for you though.
What's up?
There's a new console being released.
Which one?
Remember Soldier Boy?
Soldier Boy?
He's releasing his own console.
He's releasing his own console.
Oh shit!
He announced it during a Fortnite stream.
Oh wow.
They don't know if it's going to be like, say, an Android-based one or Windows or Linux-based, but
turns out he teamed up with Atari, and he's just taking that Atari box and turning it into the Soldier box.
Turns out he's teaming up with Drake and Ninja and making a new Fortnite-only box.
Yeah, because
that's where the money is.
Do kids even know who Soldier Boy is?
He apparently is a streamer.
He's streaming? Okay.
Tons of people who are washed up are on Twitch now.
Unfortunately, I know because I had sent through the damn system.
No, we all know.
Yeah,
I know we all know. But
I wouldn't say he's washed up. He's been like investing.
Because he's smart. Because he's like, well, his music career tanked after that one song. Crank it. Was it?
Crank that Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crank that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
I feel like that was more. That wasn't like it fell off. That was his first step to launching a business career.
Yeah, exactly. It's just weird thinking about it. I'm like, what the fuck did
where has he been for like the past 10 years?
I mean, he's been doing business stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a few songs out, just haven't reached that fame.
It's just one of those things where it's like I don't see like high schoolers and stuff like seeing Soldier Boy and like, what is he doing?
Right, but people still know who he is.
But if he's been twitching and stuff, I don't follow.
But I just got the feeling it's going to be the next. Was it the Ouya?
Ouya.
Yeah. It's just going to tank like that. It has such great promo, but it's like
the Ouya wasn't even that bad. Just they marketed it poorly and like
Ouya was my favorite character inside of that shitty Film Cow movie.
Eagle. Wait, what is it called?
Detective Heart of America.
There we go.
Oh, jeez.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
You should definitely watch it. It's great.
The problem with the Ouya was that they marketed it as like this solid game console, and
And I
everything.
really just played Android games.
When it honestly, if they just came out and were like, yeah, take your Android games and play them on the TV, and here's some other stuff that we ported to it. It's kind of neat, and people would have been like, yeah, it's kind of neat, and it probably would have sold like okay,
Yeah.
because it was only $100 at launch. It wasn't like they launched it and it's like $300, the same price as an Xbox 360 and all that stuff. It was like, no, it's $100 and you can watch Netflix on it, and whatever you do on Android, you can do on here. You can even, put a Super Nintendo emulator on here. Yeah. Fuck it. But no, they advertised it as being this like console, and people were like,
"This is the new console needed for your."
Yeah, they overhype that shit, man.
I don't think you can advertise stealing another company's.
No, you can't. But I mean, if they would have just kind of hinted that this is Android and you can do whatever you do on your phone, but on here with a bit more horsepower than current phones. I mean, Ouya is trash in specs today, but at the time it was it was pretty good for Android specs. It was like, yeah, this is neat, you can do this, but not anymore.
All right then.
Yeah. I really want this. I don't know why. I'm not really.
That's that time. We're getting to the end. And
yeah, it's ending.
You could start queuing up some music to go louder at some point. I mean, we're not important, so we don't really run like social media. So that we don't need to plug
this
ourselves.
Too sad. Let's get a good outro.
Remember to comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Hit that smash button.
Smash that notification bell.
Like that smash button.
Lick the smash button? What?
Yeah, lick that smash button.
Wait a second.
Anyways.
We're working on that Twitter.
We're here Sundays, 12 to 2. Probably gonna stay that.
Yeah.
Could change. There's some beams crossed. We mentioned that before.
We could work a little later.
Yeah, there's just some beams crossed with like other programming we have on the station, and we'll work it out. We'll figure this thing out. But regardless, we love you.
Gotta get that instant ham and Twitter. Yeah, that's what those kids use, right? To send the pictures
Instant ham.
of ham.
It's like you send